In last video we talked a little bit about new keyword. In this video we are gonna talk about this keyword. One thing that I missed in last video was that when the new keyword is used to create an object, that this keyword is instantiated. First of all, I want to tell you that every execution context has this keyword attached to them. Okay, in JavaScript, every execution context has this keyword attached to them. And what is the execution context? So when I call this function user creator, this function executes. So this is one execution context. If I call another function, let's say increment, this is another execution context. Okay, so apart from that, if there's no function, these lines that are written in a program in a window, this these are called like written in a window, because this whole is an HTML document window, and HTML document window is also called like global object, and this is also an execution context, if that makes sense. And the thing is, when the new keyword in last video I forgot to tell you that the when new keyword is used to create an object using a function, this new keyword instantiates this keyword, and for that this keyword we were able to use this. And what this keyword does is it creates an object, and when this creates an object, and we were able to use prototype object bit of user creator, and we were able to put, and when this keyword was instantiated, we were able to store objects properties in an object. So let's say like this dot name, because we are using dot, we know that this is an object, and we're storing an object in some object properties in an object, and this keyword was instantiated because of this new keyword, and we are storing the properties inside of an object which was instantiated because of this keyword. Now move on to another this keyword. This keyword is totally different from this keyword that I told you right now. Let's say I have a score of user 20. Okay, I'm giving it like some value 30, and I can change this value using this keyword by referring to it, because this is in a window HTML document object. Okay, because this is outside of all the functions, and I can refer to this using this keyword, and this would be this dot score of user 20 is equal to, let's say, 33. Okay, if I now console log, so many typos, score of user 20, let's check it. So you can see the score is 30. It should be var. Okay, so it should be var because let doesn't allow it to change its value inside of that context where it is defined. So we're gonna use var, and this dot score. Now let's check it. Now the score is 33. It has changed. Okay, so now you know that every execution context has this keyword attached to them. So now we can move on to the main part, which is, let's say I wanna let's comment out this line of code for now. When I call this, okay, when I call this user1 dot increment, how do you know that user1 score is gonna be increased? How do you know? If you're saying that this is gonna be increased because of this, then my question is where this this keyword got from. So if you don't know where this keyword came from, then your answer should be like this: user1 dot score plus plus, but it would only increase the user1 score. But if let's say I have the user20 score, okay, user20, then it would increase only the score of user1. It won't increase the score of user20. Okay, then we'll have to make it dynamic. We'll have to increase the score of all the users. So we're gonna increase the score by this, and you already got that answer, that every object has this keyword attached to them. So what about another function inside of an increment function? Let's say I want to increment. It might be so many functions inside of another functions in a real application. Okay, so it might be function add, and it's gonna be, let's say I want to increase the store score to be plus plus. Okay, so you know that every execution context has this keyword, so add keyword would also have this keyword attached to them. So what should be now the output? If I call this user1.increment, it should go over here, and inside of that, okay, I have to call add function over here. I have defined the add function body over here and call it over here in line 25. Then when I call this, it's gonna go over here on line 22, and it would do this dot score plus plus. But do our score gets increased or not? That's the question. If your answer was it would increase, nowadays it won't increase. Let's check it in browser. You see, it has not increased. It is because when I call this increment function on the user1 object, okay, on a user1 object, this user1 is an object, okay, I call the increment function on that. It went over here, and then it went over here, add. It called the add function. When it called the add function, and when it went inside of the line 22, it doesn't know, the simple function does not know which object score has to be increased. Okay, it does not know what it does not know that this keyword is, it does not know which score has to be increased, because inside of a function of add, it doesn't know that it has to increase the score of user1. This keyword is going outside of this function, okay, because simple functions don't know that they have to increase the score of the object that are attached to them. So this keyword is referring to the window object outside of the function. Okay, then there comes a concept of arrow functions. So what should be the now be the solution? Because we have to in actual we might not have only the single line of code for a function, but in a real application we would have hundreds of lines of code for a single function, and to organize them we will have to put it in separate functions. Okay, if that makes sense. I'm just explaining this for a concept that you have to know. Okay, so what should be the solution now? So now what we can do is, let's comment out this line of code. I'm gonna define an add function with arrow. Okay, add arrow function. Okay, add is equal to just how you write it. This is its syntax. I'm gonna open the curly brackets and close it. I'm gonna say this dot score to be plus plus. Do you think it's now gonna be increased or not? The score is gonna be increased or not on user1? Let's check it in browser. the score has increased. Do you know why? Do you know why? Why has it increased its score? It is because the arrow function has one additional property than simple function, and that property is its lexical static scoping. What lexical static scoping is, it refers to the thing where it was born. Let's say I'm calling an increment function or user1, so it keeps track of that when it goes inside of increment function. And on line 29 it calls the add function. It keeps track of that it was born from user1, and when it goes inside of that, it knows that the user1 has called it. So this is called lexical static scoping. So now, because of this additional property of arrow functions, they are able to increase the score of the user1. And in the next video I'm gonna go over the ES6 class syntax. We're gonna see the under the hood, how they work and how they are like making things like this, how under the hood classes work. That's it for this video. See you in next video.